So then, the 2025 Chinese Grand Prix has just ended, and yeah, that was kind of boring in a way. No real drama, no real overtakes for the win. You know, we had a couple of times where the McLarens, where Lando was slowly closing in onto Oscar Piastri, but realistically, the biggest moment in the race was when Charles Leclerc hit Lewis Hamilton at the start of the race. Not really a race where a lot of overtaking happened, to be honest. It was more in the lower half of the grid. But yeah, this is the instant reaction for the Chinese Grand Prix. A bit of a short video today. But yeah, not much action compared to what happened last week. Most of the action happened in the pit stops, and it was a very interesting race. As far as the strategy is concerned, you saw a lot of drivers and a lot of teams, especially RB, going for a two-stop strategy. It was a little bit foggy as far as what strategy was the winning strategy. You saw most of the drivers start on the hard tyres, and then I think Lance Stroll went 36 laps on the hards before going back onto the mediums. But the winning strategy for the top teams was a one-stop, going from mediums to the hards, and then you saw teams like RB going from mediums and doing double hards, which unfortunately didn't work for the RBs. The race results, I'll get to them in a minute, but this is the instant reaction. Charles Leclerc, I'll have to say, I think he did a phenomenal job, considering that he literally did all of that race on a damaged front wing, and we'll get to that into the start of this race. But yeah, quick thoughts on the sprint race. Yeah, Lewis Hamilton, he did very well, sprint pole and the sprint win. However, that was a facade, if you will, because he was nowhere in this race here today. And yeah, so not really much happened as far as the racing is concerned. We get to the start of the race, and Lando Norris overtakes George Russell for a McLaren 1-2 to start, and then Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc overtake Max Verstappen before the two Ferraris make contact in towards after turn 1. It looks like Leclerc just got too much curb, and he just countersteered and he hit Lewis Hamilton's rear right tyre. It's crazy how Hamilton did not get a puncture from that. I thought that Hamilton was gonna get a puncture from the contact, but Hamilton was unscathed. However, it seems to me like the start of the race, it seems to me like after the damage, it certainly felt like Leclerc was faster than Hamilton, even with a damaged front wing, which was very weird. Jacques Doohan on lap 2 overtook for P16. Fernando Alonso, our one and only DNF of the Chinese Grand Prix, he had a brake failure on lap 3. And then not really much happened. Most of the action happened in the box, in the pits. Lap 11, Gasly boxed for hards. Then the following lap 12, Tsunoda, Ocon, and Doohan, they boxed for hards. Antonelli and Hadjar, lap 13, they boxed for hards. And then 14, Hamilton and Verstappen also boxed for hards. Lap 15 and 16, Piastri, the race leader, and George Russell, they boxed for hards. Leclerc and Norris follow them a lap later on lap 16, and George Russell overtakes, does the undercut, and overtakes Lando Norris for P2. Oscar Piastri's race wasn't anything special or anything dramatic. It was just calm, cool, elected pole and the win. He had a gap of, I'd say, an average 3.5 seconds towards Russell and Norris. There were times where Norris was closing on Piastri, but it was certainly clear that Piastri was looking after his tyres a little bit more compared to Lando Norris. Lap 18, we did have some drivers go long. Lap 18, Sainz boxes for hards, and then we have the medium runners. So Lawson, Albon, and Stroll all started on the hard tyres. Lap 19, Liam Lawson boxes for mediums. Another poor showing for Liam Lawson today. Nothing really memorable. and a second consecutive race that he doesn't finish in the points, and the pressure will slowly but surely get to him as the season rolls on. Hopefully Japan in 2 weeks, hopefully he has his come out performance there, considering that he's raced at Suzuka multiple times since he was in Super Formula in Japan. So hopefully the Japanese Grand Prix in 2 weeks can be the showing that Liam Lawson needs, and he needs it, because if he doesn't get a performance there, Red Bull might actually axe him before the European season, and that's something that Red Bull can't afford, considering that they're already lacking behind McLaren in the Constructors' battle. Lap 34, Isaac Hadjar boxes for the hard tyres. And then lap 36, Tsunoda boxes for hard. 37, Lance Stroll, the longest runner of the hard tyres, he went 37 laps. He goes on to the medium tyres. Lap 38, Hamilton tries to do a two-stop. He boxed for hard. Hamilton, I think the two RBs went medium, hard. Unfortunately, that didn't work, considering that the hard tyres were, the most durable tyre, and they did eventually go to the end. Lap 41, unfortunately, heartbreak for Pierre Gasly. Behrman, he boxed for medium, and he had solid pace in the second half of the race. He overtakes Pierre Gasly for P10. And yeah, the Haas actually has some great pace. Lap 51, there's a battle between Doohan and Hadjar at the hairpin. Doohan locks up his front right, forces Hadjar off the circuit, gets a 10-second time penalty, which I was a little bit fuming at, considering that I think he should have just let him go and tried to get him on the next lap. Lap 53, Leclerc's front wing damage was starting to really affect him in the second half of the race, and Verstappen had closed in on him on average around about 4 attempts a lap, to the point where by lap 53, Verstappen was all over him. They have a battle in towards turn 1, however Verstappen gets the switch back on him in towards turn 2 and goes around the outside, and Verstappen overtakes Leclerc with a damaged front wing. Overtakes Leclerc with a damaged front wing to secure P4, and then Oscar Piastri wins the Chinese Grand Prix. A very dominant display from McLaren once again, like it should have been last week in Australia. 1-2 finish for McLaren, as we now get to pretty much the race results here. I will just transform this, and as you can see, so Piastri wins. He gets his first win of the season. I think his third win overall. McLaren 1-2. Norris was dealing with a brake issue, and he had to fall back. He was like 2.7 seconds behind Piastri, but in the last 3 laps he had to manage the brake issue, so he finishes nearly 10 seconds behind. Russell, maybe if Norris's brakes had broken, he would have got second, but he finishes in a lowly P3. Verstappen, apart from that overtake, didn't really do much. It's clear that Red Bull are lacking behind, and they have some work to do as we enter Japan. He finishes in 4th. Leclerc, with that front wing damage, finishes 23 seconds behind Piastri. He finishes in 5th, and Lewis Hamilton finishes in 6th. Esteban Ocon, Haas get a double points finish. Their first points of the season. Ocon finishes in P7, and then Antonelli finishes in 8th. Albon in 9th, he went long, and then he went on the hards, and he secures P9. Another solid points finish for Williams, and then Ollie Behrman once again in 10th place. Gasly, unfortunately for Pierre Gasly, just another race where, even with an undercut, he did an undercut there in his first box for hards, but it wasn't enough. He finishes in P11 with Lance Stroll in P12. Carlos Sainz finishes in P13. Again, not a good performance for Sainz in his second race for Williams, especially the fact that Albon has scored a 5th and a 9th in the first 2 races. Hadjar finishes in 14th with Lawson having a very unforgettable race. He gets lapped. Lawson, Hadjar, I think. Actually, no, they didn't get lapped, sorry. But yeah, very forgettable race for Liam Lawson in 15th, and then Doohan with the 10-second penalty finishes in P16. So yeah, he finished ahead of Isaac Hadjar, but because of the 10-second penalty, he falls behind Liam Lawson. Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, and Tsunoda, they all finished a lap down. I think Tsunoda boxed twice, and yeah, the strategy of boxing twice didn't work for the Racing Bulls today, and Fernando Alonso is the only DNF for for the race. So in towards the championship, Norris extends his lead to 8 points. Russell behind him on 35, and then Piastri on 34. Antonelli on 18. He's tied with Leclerc on 18. You've got Hamilton on 17 and Albon on 12. Stroll on 8th. Ocon with that 7th, he gets 6 points, tied with Nico Hulkenberg. And then Racing Bulls, Tsunoda is on 3, with Behrman getting his sole point. Gasly, Sainz, Hadjar, Lawson, Doohan, and Bortoleto all remain pointless. So that is that for the instant reaction for the Chinese Grand Prix. Not a lot to talk about really, a bit of a boring race. It was just mostly strategy that decided the race, but that is confirmed what we knew ever since pre-season, that McLaren are the odds-on favourites. But that is that. Thank you for watching. What are your thoughts on the race? My driver of the day is Ollie Behrman. Great job by Behrman today, and also Ocon as well, for Haas's first points ever since last weekend. Well, thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like, share, comment and subscribe for more F1 2025 season coverage, and I'll see you in 2 weeks in Japan for another instant reaction. If you smell what the Scouse one is cooking.